know.
I
I don't know
either.
anymore. It's ridiculous.
You seem like you're still half asleep.
No, I've been up since like 4:30.
Oh yeah. See, I got
My
up late today. I was up at 5:30.
5 o'clock here.
my
Yeah.
body clock just hates me. It's anywhere from legitimately 4:26 to like 4:36 in the morning. I usually get up for no reason. I'm up and I'm just like, I can be productive. I can go exercise, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna lay on the couch and not bother anyone. Just have a little bit of solace and silence.
So you just lay there and like you don't fall back asleep?
No.
See, my problem is I'll get up at 4 o'clock sometimes, and then
Yeah.
I'll go sit on the toilet for at least 20 minutes because that's how long it takes to get things moving. And then I'll go lay on the couch sometimes, thinking like I'm just gonna lay here for a minute.
Yeah.
And then I wake up 2 hours later, and I haven't got my exercise in, haven't got my stretches done, no journaling, nothing, no mental performance exercise, nothing. And then I'm like, well, that's gonna be a shit day then. Because in my world, like my morning routine sort of like sets off the day. Like it's how's my day going to be? How's my morning routine? Like, did I get my steps in? Did I get my weightlifting done? Did I get a chance to even like journal? I like to journal once in a while. Do I get to do that? Or read? That's another thing too. I like to read in the mornings because I can't do it at night because I get way too tired. But if I don't get that shit done, man, like it's just the day just is downhill from there.
I don't do well with repetition. So like trying to work out for me is it becomes so mundane because you have a routine, right? You get up, you'll have your pre-workout and whatever, and then you'll go and you'll do these sets and then these sets, and I'm just like, after like the first 2 weeks, and everyone's like, it's addicting. I was like, no, Coke is addicting. Working out, not so much.
Oddly enough, that does help with working out.
I'm the same way.
I was joking.
I'm the same way. So
you like Coke too?
I've never done it, but I'm sure I probably would, knowing my mentality.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
No, but like once I wake up at 4:30 or 4 whatever, I can't settle down. Like I typically have to, take something to go to bed, or I'll just stay up to 2 o'clock just thinking about stuff. And hey, I could be doing this, and then I could do this and this and this, and then I just can't settle down. That's it.
Now, how about you, Pat? Now, for everybody out there who doesn't, by the way, I say fur a lot. It's just my Michigan accent. Fur. For everybody out there that doesn't know, this is Pat Finley from Commercial
Kitchen Chronicles.
Yes, Commercial Kitchen Chronicles. I almost said Commercial Equipment Chronicles, but Commercial Kitchen Chronicles does a little bit of YouTube stuff, a little bit of podcast stuff. He's really making a name for himself in the social media world out there. So yeah, go find it.
Wait! You didn't mention award-winning.
Oh yeah.
Award-winning.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. That was this year, multiple awards, right?
Yeah, it's been a pretty good year. Yeah, couple.
We're talking multiple.
Yeah, well, enlighten people just in case they don't know, Pat, because they didn't know how much of a big shit you are.
So
see, look, I'm even wearing my tactical shirt.
I think mine maybe somewhere. So I'm a commercial kitchen repair guy. So I do commercial kitchen equipment, HVAC, refrigeration, anything in the kitchen. I'll work on it. So it started off last fall. I went to CFESA conference, which is CFESA's Commercial Food Equipment Service Association. It's like the sanctioning body or the teaching body or whatever for what I do. And every 2 years they have an awards ceremony. And I was there just because I thought I teach for them. I teach refrigeration. But I ended up winning a Outstanding Technician Award, which used to be Tech of the Year, but they only do it every 2 years. So now it's called Outstanding Technician. And then more recently, I go to HR second year. I went to the HVAC Tactical Award Show, and I knew I was nominated, but I didn't know what I was nominated for. So I went up there, and then I was watching, the award show, and it scrolled through a couple other guys, and all of a sudden I seen my video, and I absolutely lost it. I was freaking out. I was like, how did I get nominated for this, And I ended up winning Best Social Media Content somehow, and it's just been a blast, man. So, yeah, it was an honor. It was cool to see everybody there. Talk to Brett in person, talk to everybody else, and It was cool, man. It was a real fun experience. I still don't understand it.
Mr. HVACR himself, Cat Stevens, presented you the award, correct?
Yeah, that was what was funny. He had no idea I was even nominated for that category or winning. So we went out the Saturday night before. Me, him, and my wife. We went to dinner and had some drinks and talked for like 3 or 4 hours. And then when he read the award, he like looked up at me when he seen who won, and he didn't say nothing. He just looked at me, looked back down, and he just started laughing. And I was like, "This is crazy." When he said my name, I lost it. So it was cool to win and then have a friend of mine and someone I look up to, give me that award. So it made it even extra cool.
Nice. Yeah, I saw a little bit of a video from that. I think from Ben Poole's channel, or maybe
Tactical, probably,
or might have been in combination too with Rick Dreimer. How do you say his last name?
Dermeyer.
HVAC.
Yeah.
I finally met him met him there, and it was cool to finally meet him. I was like, "Hey," "we know each other in real life. Can you add me as a friend on Facebook now?" He's like, "Yeah, I guess." He's a real cool dude.
He's a wild guy.
You and Rick aren't really that far from me. I'm in north central Indiana, just north of Indianapolis. So
it's funny. I actually have service calls out in Indiana sometimes.
Nice.
Indianapolis, like Fort Wayne area, which is that's another subject.
Well, if you're ever near Anderson, hit me up because I'm by Anderson.
Anderson?
Yep.
I'll hit you up. Shit, even if I'm an hour away, I'll hit you up. I mean, I meet you for lunch or something. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
See if you're an actual real person.
Yeah, I'm not a robot.
And then we can be friends on Facebook after that.
Yeah.
Bill likes flowers. He likes pansies.
Pansies. Strolls in the flowers.
I like panties.
So you guys are talking about the getting up thing in the morning. I'm lucky. So when I go to sleep, as soon as I hit that pillow, I'm asleep. My mind shuts off. That's about the only time my mind shuts off. I don't get it. My wife's mad because she'll sit there on her phone for 2 hours. I'm like, well, maybe try to shut the phone off. But then she's just, I'm just staring at the wall there. And I'm like, well, I shut my phone off, close my eyes, and I just fall asleep. So I feel bad for people that can't do that. But I try to get up at 4 o'clock every day and work out. The last couple of weeks, it's not really happened. It's been hit or miss. I'll get up and I'm like, oh, I'll take my, drink my coffee, use the restroom, take my shower. And then I get up and I come out to the barn and I'm like, oh, I can edit this video or create this content. And I just like, screw the weights. It's sitting there. It'll be there when I get home. And of course, when I come home, I'm too tired. I don't want to do this. I sit down.
It was a long day. I don't want to, I don't want to put my body through more stress.
Yeah, but I will tell you, when I do actually get up and work out, I feel better throughout the day. I'm less stressed, and I probably
it's like that first win of the day almost.
Yep. I'm less stressed, and I do tend to have better days. So,
see, my problem is on the days where I'm consistent, which I'm probably batting like 70-80% consistency right now. Like Monday and Tuesday, I usually fall back asleep, but it pisses me off, and then I stress myself out, beat myself up, that sort of thing. But then the rest of the week, I'm pretty good. And my thing is getting to bed at a decent time, because I get up at 4:30 every day, but I get to bed at like 10:30. So I'm like 5 hours of sleep. And so throughout the day, I'm just, kind of grumpy, kind of cranky. I feel like physically my body would react better, and mentally even too, if I was able to get more sleep or better quality of sleep.
Yeah. I get that. I try to go to bed about, I'm no later than 9 o'clock. If I'm getting up at 4, if I'm getting up at 5, it just depends on what my day is for work. If I get into a job really early, I just adjust my wake up time to that. I mean, like I said, I'm very fortunate that I can just go straight to sleep. I feel sorry for anybody that can't. I mean, I've heard struggles with my wife, my son. My son has like sleep paralysis where he like wakes up, he's awake but he can't move.
Oh man!
I'm what? Like, yeah, he's awake. He can open his eyes, he can see, but he can't move. He's like paralyzed there.
What the fuck?
I'm like, holy shit, dude.
I want to be that.
Oh, I don't know. It'd be cool for like the first couple minutes, but then it'd probably freak out.
See, there's certain times where I can just ass out. So yesterday, I literally spent just about 6 hours in the car. We drove from my house up in North Dallas, and I drove to Arkansas it was awesome, through like 5 or 6 tornadoes. Like I'm having my daughter sleep because she was up early because she was so excited about this prom. And we were driving out here, And I hear the phones just keep going off. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, there's a lot of people being abducted around here. Like a lot of Amber Alerts. That's what I'm thinking as I'm fucking driving out.
Abducted by tornadoes.
Well, that was the thing. And so my daughter wakes up and she's like, yeah. She's like, I heard the phone go off. She's like, what is it? I was like, I don't know. You want to check it out? She's like, Dad, there's tons of tornado warnings all over the fucking place. And I was like, no way. So like by the time I got here yesterday, yeah, I just about passed out. But if I drive a lot or I just, I don't know, like actual physical work, because otherwise I'm just like I said, I just can't go to sleep. My mind's racing and I just can't settle down, unfortunately.
Man, I do good with physical work. I don't really have a lot of days where I'm like just busting ass all day because I drive so much.
Yeah.
But on the days where I'm like moving all day, I feel like really good. I feel accomplished at the end of the day. You know, like it's a good kind of sore.
The only other thing that kind of drains me is teaching. That's the only other thing that because literally like Friday is just like, I'm just like, oh, just take the test. You gotta just go home. And then like, it's not me being rude. It's mentally draining. And my wife, you know, sometimes thinks I'm an asshole because usually those weeks, like I'll forget to call because I'll, you know, especially when I'm out in California because it's the time change. Just like when I get out of school, she's dealing with the kids, putting them down and stuff. And then I forget to call her and it's like, oh, it must be nice. You know, you're on vacation. I'm like, it's not really a vacation. I don't know.
I do the same thing when I teach because I teach all day and then I'll go after class and I'll set up stuff for the next day and then I'll eat and then I'll just be mentally drained. I just want to pass out and I'll forget to call my wife. And then the next day I get a text message when she gets up. I'm like, oh shit, I'm in trouble.
She's pissed now.
You know, what's more draining? Is it the mental aspect of trying to communicate this technical information or recollect this technical information, or is it like the social aspect of just socially interacting with all these people at one time? Because that I feel would be the worst for me.
Both.
Yeah. Both. Well, plus you got to remember, like, so not everyone learns the same, right? So as you're talking to someone, you might say how you have it, right? And then they're like, you can see the deer in headlights look. So you have to explain it then another way. And so usually once you do that, you see the light bulb go off and you get excited over that, but it's just, you're constantly referencing data all fucking day. Like, I mean, when you were in school, studying for, did you ever take your SATs, Bill? No?
I don't think so, no.
All right. Any big tests that you've ever studied for, you've never like studied for hours on end? No?
Yeah. My, I think the last one I got was like my, mechanical contractor's license. Like
okay.
I didn't study on for that.
But what I'm saying is like doing stuff like that where you're constantly referencing data. It's and you know it partially it's the social thing for me. I mean you've met me in person and I fucking disappear. I just disappear. I'm there talking with you guys and I'm just like, I need to be alone in a corner for like 20 minutes and just like take a mental break because like introverted extrovert here. You know, I could talk in front of people. I can ham it out, but then, you know, too much stimulation. So I told you the story when I was in a bar. I just had headphones in watching a girls' soccer game. And like because I couldn't take, because you're constantly listening to all the other conversations. Like you hear this going on. It's like, oh, this guy's cheating on this one. This one's, you know, it's too much input. And then I'm just like, and then I shut down. And that's basically what happens to me socially.
Get overloaded and it's just like you can't process it all because your mind's like mine. You hear something and you're trying to figure out what's going on in the background too. It's like you hear them talking, so you're trying to, like, in your own mind, you're making up scenarios. You're trying to be a part of the conversation without being in it, and it just like it zaps you, like mentally and physically. It'll take it out of you because you don't know what you're doing, but you're in their conversation and you're dissecting it. I
saw a woman and guy making out. And I'm literally sitting there analyzing them making out. And I'm not even joking. So they're sitting there making out, and I noticed that she has a wedding ring and he does not. And
maybe he's just in the trades. Maybe he's in
balance the probability. No, he had no. So here's the other thing, because then I thought about that because I don't ever wear my wedding ring. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, nope, his fingers are way too fucking clean. There's no way. There's no scars on his arms. There's no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like literally analyzing any fucking thing. It's so dumb, But like
Columbo over here.
It pays off though, because a lot of times you have shit figured out with work or social life, or other things before anyone else has it, and you know what's coming way before anyone else does.
That's a good point.
But sometimes you send yourself down a rabbit hole too doing that shit.
Yeah, like when you're just trying to have some out of work relax time and you're staring creepily at a couple making out, like.
Well, I was doing the Bill thing where I had the glasses on, so you really couldn't see.
Perfect. Like the newspaper with two holes cut out, and you're like looking through it. Like, I don't know if they see me yet.
Oh shit,
that's great.
Now, Pat, earlier, or no, was it last week? I think me and Pat were kind of riffing on a Facebook message because he had posted something about he's like commercial or industrial. I think it was refrigeration is looking better and better. And it really like that message like piqued my interest, and I kind of wanted to elaborate, but like Facebook Messenger wasn't really the place to do it, or not Messenger, just the comment section on that post wasn't really the place to do it. So like real quick, like the gist that I got out of it, and tell me if I'm wrong or not. But the gist I got out of it was like you were just because you do like you said earlier, you do all facets of this trade, hot side, cold side, everything in between, I assume. And is it just that you got tired of like maybe doing all that stuff and you're just like, I just want to be doing one thing. I just want to do like refrigeration. That's it. I don't want to have to deal with all this and this and this and teach and hot side and this. Or is it something else?
I mean, it's several things. So like I get bored. Like last week I was bored. I haven't done a whole lot of refrigeration lately, and I like doing it because it's always different challenges. It's always different things. And I only do small stuff. I don't do anything big, crazy stuff like Brett or any of his, experience, that kind of stuff. But my stuff's all small, and I get kind of bored. But I haven't really done a bunch of it lately. And I, kind of missing it, and then overthinking things, overanalyzing things I shouldn't be overanalyzing. And I was just kind of irritated with my work, and I shouldn't have been because it really wasn't them. But it seemed like I just seen some stuff and I just made a post, and I am terrible about that because I will make a post. I will not explain myself whatsoever. I just throw out no context, and it goes by unnoticed, or people think the complete opposite of what I meant. So like that's been my biggest issue here lately is when I make a post or reply, especially with everything I've going on with the social media and this podcast stuff. I got to watch what I say. Because I'll just put a short answer out there and someone sees it, takes it out of context, and all of a sudden I have a manufacturer calling my boss, be like, hey, he said this. I'm like, well, I was like, this is what I really meant. He's like, well, you didn't type that. He's like, if that's what you really meant, you need to do a better job explaining yourself. So like, I will type out a big, huge response. And I just hit delete, screw it, let these guys be idiots on their own.
See, I got nobody calling my boss. Like I think the other day on overtime, I called Blue on a bunch of dicks again, and they're not going to call my boss and be like, hey, your guy just called us dicks. I don't have to worry about that at all, luckily. But man, that sounds stressful.
Well, it's a manufacturer. So it's not the technical side of the manufacturers that get mad. It's the sales guys that get mad because they're the ones that affects. It affects the sales. It don't affect the technical guys. So if the sales guy sees a comment on a post that someone's making about their equipment, they just they lose it. And I mean, it wasn't even that bad. The reason it got called is someone made a post about a coil on a manufacturer coming apart, and they were questioning the cleaner that the company sells to clean their evaporator coils as a blast chiller. And I said, no, they had a known problem with coil degradation. I said, they're a coated coil, but the coils weren't prepped right. So the coating was coming off and it was trapping water and chemicals between the coating and the coil and just eating them up. But all I said was they had a known problem with coil degradation. You might want to look into that. And the manufacturer, dude, it was up for an hour. They called my factory liaison guy. I was like, you got to tell this guy he can't be saying that stuff. And I was like, and once I explained it to my boss and the other guy, he's like, well, that makes complete sense. He's like, it's their shitty product. And I was like, well, I can't say that. He's like, well, we can't say that either. He's like, just don't comment that stuff. I was like, okay, whatever, man.
See, I guess one of the differences too is like you work for a much bigger company than I do. Which is also, I think, if I remember correctly, part of an even bigger company.
Yeah.
So like they probably have these relationships with manufacturers and sales guys, and there's more money changing hands than my place. So, but I guess that's a corporate problem. That's a 9-to-5 thing.
Well, that was part of the reason I was kind of grumpy last week is I was supposed to do some training, and I knew of 5 guys that were coming, was told by their managers they was coming, and then come to find out there was 3 people coming in from 2 states away that were going to come in. And then the week before my class, I get an email saying no one is registered and we're not having a class. And then I had a guy reach out to me Monday. He's like, "Hey, what time are we supposed to be there tomorrow?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "They got canceled. No one said they signed up." He's like, "No, my manager signed 3 people up." And then I went to my manager, and he's like, "No, we were sending 2 people from here." And then I talked to our other manager. He's like, he reached out to the regional, and he said, she said she was sending 3 guys from Memphis. And I was like, what happened? I was mad. I was like, who's stopping me from doing stuff that I was told I was going to do, stuff that I want to do, stuff that's going to make me better, stuff that's going to better the company, better these techs. And then I was trying to do something else. They said I could do it. And all of a sudden, no, you can't do that. And I was just like, I'm done. I'm over it. I'm just like, you guys said I could do this. And then, that started it. And then my mind just focused on those little things, and it just spun out of control, dude. I let it ruin an entire week, man. I was coming home mad. I was waking up mad.
Oh, see, that's a good point. I do that quite a bit. And I don't have near the problem level that you have with that sort of thing. But 2 things. So the takeaway that I get from your story is, like, let's say you were able to do exactly what you're doing now, but in a smaller environment where there's not so many chiefs in the operation. Like maybe a couple less Indians, a couple less chiefs, and it's a more simplified process. Do you think that would be? I'm not like trying to get you to quit your company, but do you think that would be like more susceptible or easier for you to handle, instead of everybody making all these decisions that obviously affect what you want to do?
I don't know. To be honest, I primarily worked for big corporations. Before I worked here, I worked for another outfit that's clear across the country. I worked for a couple of mom and pop places, but all I was a service tech there, and it was a period of 2 years.
I just came from 2 companies. I came from a small company that built itself up over 5 years and then was sold to a big giant company. And I got out of that because the corporate mentality that they were enforcing didn't jive with what I wanted to do. And then I left them and went to an even bigger company like MCOR, multi-billion-dollar corporation. And then, I mean, it wasn't bad. I quit there for various reasons. Like, I was literally just changing filters all day for an absorbent amount of money. And I got bored of it real fast. Like, that's why my videos just died off. But all that to say, now I work for a much smaller company that is just like fly by the seat of your pants. We're just like, you want to do what? Just go do it. We don't care. I'm like, have you ever looked at the profit and loss statement? I'm like, what is that? We don't know. And like, there's no structure. And that's the one thing that if I could like bring into this company or any of these smaller companies, like that's from my vantage point, that's like the main difference is like, yeah, corporate does kind of suck because they have all this structure. But then again, when you go over here where like there's no structure at all, you're like, I mean, it's like the Wild West. And
I don't think I could handle not having structure. I mean,
it's all
with you, man.
It's all about learning the game, though, right? I mean,
definitely.
Well, because like with little corporations, you have to, like you don't know how much stability the company has, depending on how the size, right? I mean, there's a certain point where there is a certain sustainability, but you get to a bigger company, there's way more sustainability. Yes, you might not like the call the corporate culture, but you have to, basically just
suck it up and
you pick your battles, right? And if you're precise on how you do it, so like agenda wise, like when I have ideas of stuff that I want to do corporate wise that are going to cost money, what you do is you build a business case. So Pat, if they're going to give you shit about training, okay, well, our callback rate is X rate. Okay. I'm not speaking about Pat's employer, just to be clear here. I'm just speaking as general. So if your callback rate is X, right, and you figure out, okay, well, it costs, depending on what your burden rate is, it might cost $2,500 to fly a technician out, hotel, and for a week, right? You make that technician better, and typically, what we see is ROI of anywhere from 3 to 10% of once that technician goes into some sort of schooling where they're learning new, building on what they already know. And so typically, the service managers are, will see anywhere from like a 3 to 10% range. So like you take what you want to do, you church it up, you dress up the chicken how you want it, and then present it like this is what this is going to do. And a lot of times I have never really had any problems where they're just like, no, as long as you build a good business case with a lot of big corporate entities, as long as it makes sense business wise, you can do what you want. And this year, I've done so much stuff already, and they're just, I keep building cases for stuff.
We have zero training, zero. Like, we don't even entertain the idea.
That's the problem with the real small places.
Yeah, like there's no budget for it, honestly.
So honestly, I don't know. Like, I've had some issues with the person that sent me the email in the past. I don't know if it's like personal, like from them to me or what. So I don't know what happened. So that's why like the managers got involved. And, I almost made a post about it and I didn't do it. I got to quit putting that kind of shit out in the universe. It does no good. A lot of times I type it and I delete it and I feel better just because I typed it. So I reached out to the guy that runs the entire company. So there's 27 branches. There's like 600 people, and he runs the entire company. And he used to be my actual branch manager and moved his way up. And I said, hey, we need to talk about some stuff. And I said, you know how I get. I said, I'm worked up right now. Give me a week and email me back and see if we still need to talk about this. I said, but I had to, at least reach out to him to let him know that I was having some issues. And that, he did it. He reached out to me this week, and we're going to talk next week probably. But it just. I've always been told that I can be more than just a tech. Even before we were purchased by this big company, I could always be more than a tech. And, they were setting things in place for me, and it just seemed like someone was fighting that last week, and it got into my head, man. And we're not against training. I mean, we send guys in manufacturers training. We send guys as FSO. We bring manufacturers in and bring guys from other branches in. We will train. I mean, we'd rather the guys be comfortable working on the equipment than going out there and just scratching their heads and calling – the tech support and saying, I've never touched this. I don't know anything about this. And there's product lines that honestly, the manufacturer won't let you work on unless you've been trained on those product lines.
Mm-hmm. That reminds me of the smaller company that built itself up that I referenced earlier and then was sold off to a big corporation, which I think is owned by Ecolab now. I don't know if they wanted to like keep me around, but I wanted to get into training, like be the trainer for the company and all this stuff. And they're like, all right, well, at the time I was doing a lot more YouTube videos. And so they're like, well, let's use that. Like, how about you create a YouTube channel and we can use, you make videos specifically in-house for our guys and you can create a curriculum. And I'm like, I'm all about it, dude. And I jumped in with both feet and was doing that. But then I noticed like, it wasn't going anywhere. Like I would make the videos, create content and like, hey, when can I use this with the guys? Like, when can I give this to somebody or sit down with somebody or train somebody? And it was like 8 months later. And I'm like, we have done nothing with this, and it was a very frustrating process for me. And then I left, of course, because for other reasons. But real quick, going back to what you said earlier, Pat, was when like this little thing kind of shook down, which I'm dramatizing it for content purposes, try to draw on listeners, like when this almost ruined your life and broke up your family, that sort of thing. You said it ruined your week. And I just wanted to riff on that real quick because I also have these like things that in hindsight look pretty petty, but like they just ruined my whole day or my week. And a quick example, the other day I came home from work and I knew what I had to do the next day. I had to change out a cap tube on a reach-in cooler. And then also at another location nearby, there was a service call for an ice machine that was leaking. I had already been there to assess this. The ice machine it's been off for 3 weeks with water shut off to it. And I keep telling them it's the drink station. It's Coke's problem. We can't work on the Coke machine. The ice machine's been off, but they continuously put in these service calls. And I remember looking at this this is the night before. And I remember looking at this on my app and I'm like, again, like just stop with it. And I told myself specifically, like, I'm not going to let this ruin my night, but I didn't listen to myself. And I ended up like, I was grumpy all night. I was like short with my kid. I was very sarcastic and like rude with my whole family. And then like, I'm laying in bed that night. I'm like, God damn it.
I'm an asshole.
Exactly. I was like, I only have X amount of time on this earth. And I spent some of that time being rude to my kid and my wife and everything. Over what? Over these idiots. I'm going to get paid to go there and tell them like, hey, no, again, see, but like with you, like, I don't know, what was your reflection process? Like, how did that after go? Like the after effects, I guess, I don't know.
I mean, it was a good solid 3 or 4 days, dude. I'd wake up in the morning the same exact mood, and eventually, I don't know. I talk to I talk to people, and it's weird. I'll talk to 3 or 4 people about the same problem, and finally, some person I talk to, I just tell them what's going on, and they don't respond. They just listen, and then like 5 minutes later, it's like something washes over me. It's like all of a sudden I'm not tense, I'm relaxed, and then I look back and I'm like, God, why did I do that? I'm like, another case where I just beat myself up over something trivial and dumb that had no bearing on what's really going to happen. It's just something I let go crazy in my own mind, and I feel terrible. I mean, I come home, I'm a grump. I'm short with the family. I don't do the things I need to do around the house. I come home and I'll jump in front of a video game for an hour and like put my headphones on and just ignore everybody. And it's like, I shouldn't be doing that. There's things I need to be doing to better myself. There's things I need to be doing around the house. And I feel terrible. It's like, so I feel terrible for the time where I'm in this episode. And then the next day, once I'm over it, then I feel terrible for how I treated my family and my friends and my coworkers. Because, dude, I'm a dick, man. When I get in that way, I'm a dick to my dispatcher. I'm a dick to my boss. I'm a dick to everybody. And I'm like, I quit doing this shit.
I've heard some of your comments where they're like, well, that's kind of dickish.
Yeah. I get bad, dude.
I was like, man, I can only imagine what he's like in person then.
I'm generally not that bad in person. It's just when I get in those moods,
I want to
man.
go to Indiana.
I get in those moods. But once it washes over, I feel terrible that I did it. And I'll go and apologize to everybody. Dude, I've sent a dozen crumble cookies into the office because I've yelled at the dispatcher and the boss.
Oh, man.
I'm just like, I asked my dispatcher, I was like, do you go to counseling because of me? And she just laughed. She's like, most times she goes, I know you're just one of your moods. I just let it go. I was like, well, I'm sorry. I got to do better. I can't be doing that shit.
Dispatch is sending notes around. Pat's PMSing again. Watch out. Just go easy on him this week.
So the guy that runs the company, he's like I said, he was my branch manager, became a regional, and he had an office in our office, and he was friends with like one of the ladies that worked in the office. She wasn't a dispatcher, but like she did like billing and some other stuff. And she drew a drawing of all the techs, and it was like one of the techs, he always calls in because he had a headache, and when he doesn't want to work, it's a shitty job. So like it was rubbing his head, and then another guy was sleeping because he was lazy, and then it was me, and my face was all red, and there was like lines coming off my head, and I was like screaming, and I was like, oh fuck, man.
Oh, you're the angry guy.
Yeah, I'm the angry guy. So
wow. See, at my places that I've worked at, I'm usually like the pessimistic, negative guy. Mm-hmm. And I apologize for that, even though like a majority of the time I either do it out of habit or because I see some sort of writing on the wall and I just like focus in on it and I have to just talk about it. But even then I go back and like casual conversation. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry. I know I'm always the negative guy, but it's not because I'm like gloom and doom. It's just my job is to find what could go wrong, what's going wrong, and to fix it. So it's just
you're a realist.
Yeah, I'm a realist. Exactly.
I'm not that way all the time. I just go through spurts occasionally, and I've been to the doctor and like, oh, you're depressed. I'm like, well, I'm not depressed. I was like, the problem is like I have ADHD. I don't do anything for it. I'll find the most minute, minuscule thing, and I will focus on that. Like my shoe came untied, and then next thing you know, I'm pissed off. I dropped something. I'm like, this is a terrible day because my shoe came untied and I dropped a screwdriver. And I rolled on
just kill myself.
And I'm like, oh, I hate this job. I hate doing this. I hate you guys. I'm like, because like my shoe was untied and I dropped my fucking screwdriver. Is it really that bad?
It's funny. Like I have similar battles in my mind, right? And like I'll drop a screw, and like, every screw I've ever dropped hits my boot. And it's because I have big feet, maybe, but it hits my boot and bounces off into the land of Narnia, and I never find it ever again. I just immediately I give up. I'm like, oh, that's gone. I'll never see that screw again. Wherever it's landed, good knowing you, because I'll never find you. But like I would often too, like I just like, well, fuck, this is gonna be a great day. Or I would like preconceive the rest of the day is gonna suck because of these little events. And one of the pieces of advice my life coach gave me is like, take that thought, whatever it is you're saying to yourself in your mind, and like say it in a real stupid voice and just focus on how stupid you sound, because like you're gonna let this little thing like ruin your whole day. And
I just dropped the screw. My day is gonna be horrible now.
Exactly. Like, doesn't that sound so stupid? And I did that for a while. I'm like, man, I am real stupid. And then also another thing that kind of has helped me with that is to have more gratitude for like all the other good things in my life. Like I dropped a screw and it hit my foot. Hey, but some people don't have feet, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I know that's a weird way to look at it, but like some people don't have a screw to drop.
My mom said that to me one time. She's like, "You have such a shitty attitude all the time." I was like, "No, I'm a realist." And like, I look at every day. I was like, "Wow, I didn't step in shit today. Today was a good day." You know, so when those little things that are good happen, they're really good things. You know what I mean? If you expect that, you know, today's probably going to be a shitty day. It was like, "Oh no, I got a cookie." You know, and like just those little things, like, you know, kind of lighten your day.
I know Bill's doing some stuff right now. But like there's a guy that talks about win the day. So like set like 5 small goals you want to accomplish every day. It can be trivial, the dumbest stuff. And when you accomplish those 5 goals, you've won the day. And it's just like, and I did that for a while. And I noticed I did have a lot more improvement because I was trying to seek out like the small trivial stuff and to, you know, hold the door open for somebody, or, you know, someone drops something, pick it up, give it to them, like that kind of stuff. And I noticed when I tried to focus on doing small little trivial things to me, but it made a big day for other people. You know, someone smiled, someone said have a good day. I was like, it is kind of like, okay, you know, it did help a little bit.
You know, that's another good point. I'm going to get off on I don't know what you want to call it. I'm going to jump on my soapbox here and talk about myself for a second, just based off of something Pat said there. You know, like holding the door open for other people and like little things like that. I've figured out that I have the ability to change anybody's day, for better or for worse. I can change anybody's day, and I'm pretty good at reading people. So like within a few minutes, I can figure out like what I can say to a person to make them happy or sad. Usually, it's not like a superpower or nothing. But the thing that always stops me is the mood I'm in. Do I have that extra energy to give to this person? Like if I'm in, it always goes like if I'm in a line at a store, just checking out, and this person across, you know, checking me out, checking the food out or whatever, ringing it up. Like I can tell they're miserable, and I can say something. I know I can affect their mood, but I'm like, but why? I think to myself, like, why do I want to do that? Like, what do I have to look forward to? Like, if I do this, like, so, I mean, then I go home and then like, it goes back to like, I don't know. I always have to have something to look forward to. Like if I have, let's say after I get out of the store, I'm going to go, I don't know, go do something super exciting. I'm going to go get hammered drunk because that's what I used to look forward to all the time. Like if I'm in that sort of mood where I have this thing I can go look forward to, like, man, I'll stand there for 5 minutes and joke with this strange person that I don't know. But if I don't have that one thing, that glowing light to look forward to, you can fuck right off. I ain't going to talk to you.
Yeah. But positivity breeds positivity. So like if you see someone that looks like they're having a shitty day and you just fuck with them, like not, just, making light of something or, just making a joke, a lot of the times, like it puts them in a better mood, which then makes you smile. Cause like, look, I fucking did that. And now, that guy's going to have a better day. So that's one, I do that constantly.
But see, like in that same situation, I would look at it as like, well, yeah, I could stand here and kind of joke with this person, but fuck, tomorrow I got to go look at this stupid ice machine that I've been out on a million times. That's going to fucking suck, man. Like, I'm just like, no, I'll just live in my misery and hate myself. So I know that's wrong, but
I like if I see someone that's kind of having a bad day, or some amount in a store, a lot of times I'm working on like a merchandise or something out where customers can walk by and stuff, and they'll ask me, hey, how's it going? I'm like, oh, living a dream, and they're like, oh, is it a good or a bad one? I was like, well, it just depends on the day, and sometimes people like get mad when you say that. I'm just like, I mean, just I don't know, I'm just trying to make small talk, just trying to
it's like it's a reply that leans toward the negative, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like living the dream,
I try to smile at least when I say it.
I sound like Eeyore when I say it. Living the dream.
Living the dream.
Living the dream. Thanks, Winnie the Pooh.
But I mean, like we were talking earlier, it's just like, negativity breeds negativity, positivity breeds positivity. I just try to smile at people more. I mean, I used to go around, just look grumpy, have a negative expression on my face. I got a guy I work with. He's one of the best hot side techs I've ever seen, but he's old and he looks like Grumpy Cat. like ever since I'd known him, it was like, you look like Grumpy Cat, and people like call and complain. They're like, well, I don't want him out here because he was grumpy, and I was like, well, did he fix it? They're like, yeah, but he's grumpy. I was like, he's really one of the nicest guys you'd ever meet. He just looks like that. I was like, if you joke with him and talk to him a little bit, he'll smile and crack a joke and stuff. I said, but people just see him coming in looking like that, and they don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, I have perpetual resting dick face. Besides having a big nose, I just always look like I'm fucking angry.
That's
like,
true.
And my wife will constantly ask me, she's like, "What's your problem?" I'm like,
I don't know.
Thinking. I don't know.
Sorry, I have a face.
Yeah, right. I just walk around like this all the time.
Yeah, I'm constantly asked, like, why are you mad? Why are you mad? Why are you mad? I'm like,
yeah, but you are fucking mad all the time.
That's true, but
in her defense, her
defense, she's right. But at the same time, I'm like, you don't keep asking me that. Like, just stop asking me that. It's just making it worse.
You wear a lanyard, and then on one side it's red with a sad face, and then on the other side it's green with a happy face.
I need a half dial. It's like a rainbow.
And so when you come home, you're like, okay, all right, I'm fucking upset. Okay, now she don't have to fucking ask me.
Yep, exactly.
Like, I had a great day.
Code level orange right here, and I crank it all the way over. I'm like, it's code level orange.
Like the parallel has an angry start.
It starts in blue, goes green, yellow, orange, and red. Like, leave me the fuck alone.
Like, I relax. I like turn it a little bit. I'm like, oh, we're in purple territory. We're okay. We're okay now.
That's great. I like it.
When you're horny, it's polka dots.
Yeah. That reminds me of that charcuterie board that I sent you in the chat. You didn't even respond. Like nothing. I got nothing out of this.
So I have a question. Was that during the middle of the week, or was it during the weekend?
It's hard to remember.
Okay, I'd have to look back. So Saturday into Sunday, I went into super depressed, slept all day Saturday mode. Like
it sounds relaxing.
Well, no, and it was, but like I didn't want to be here. Like it was one of those, and I don't know what happens. Like there's certain events that happen that subconsciously I don't even know what happened. So like one of the other weekends, and I think I told you this. It was the 13th anniversary of my mom dying, and I didn't even remember. Because she died on St. Patrick's Day. So like I didn't even fucking remember it. I was out with my son. We were at, because usually like if it's shitty outside, I'll take him to like this playhouse so he gets to hang out with other kids and run around, so he's not running around the house. And so I was working on the computer, and I'm having a panic attack. I'm not listening to anybody. I got headphones on, so I'm just listening to music while I'm doing work shit. And then all of a sudden, like I'm literally almost full blown panic attack. So I was like, all right, well, we've only been here an hour. I'm gonna freak out. So I took a Xanax, and like I'm sitting here, and I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. I couldn't even talk. I packed my shit up. I was like, Jake, we need to go. And I didn't even think about it. And then I talked to my aunt, my mom's sister, like probably 2 or 3 days later. She's like, yeah, I was gonna call you, but I didn't want to remind you of your mom. And I was like, holy shit! Like I didn't even remember. Like it. I didn't remember the date. That day I had a fucking panic attack, and I didn't understand why. Yep. So sometimes it happens subconsciously, and I don't even know what really causes it. And then I end up just wanting to be away from everybody and I feel like, Pat, you said before, like when you don't do shit, when you're meaning to do shit, you get even more depressed because you're like, oh, I'm such a horrible father. I should be doing this. I should be hanging. And 100%, like I forced myself Sunday. Like I was almost starting to get normal on Sunday. And I took my kids to the park, and it was the hardest 3 hours just to be out in public. And because I just didn't, I had that mentality, but I was trying to get myself out of it. Right.
Yeah, but during that time, like if your kids come up to you and like they're talking to you, like for me in that situation, I would be very short. I'd be rude. I'd be like, just no fun. Like, are you the same way then?
No, because I try to make every attempt.
Yeah, no, I can't.
I'm terrible.
Not do that.
I've been terrible.
See, my mom was cool later in life, but like, I mean, my parents were shitty. So, I mean, I think that's, I told you before, that's one of the only things that's really motivated me to be successful is to not be like my fucking parents.
Mhm.
So, anything that I can do to not be like my parents, that's what I'm going to do, regardless of how much, like, I could be in a super fucking depressive state and just don't want to fucking deal with anybody. But if they come up and it's like, how are you doing, Daddy? I'm just tired, buddy. I'll be fine. I'll be okay in a little bit,
I'd be like,
like, I'm
well,
not going to
that's
be
a
like, get
stupid
the fuck
question.
away from me.
Yeah, I'd be like that. I often tell my daughter, like, I'm not taking any stupid questions right now. Tell her all the time.
I will say that shit when I'm being funny, but I won't say that when, like, because dude, you got to remember, kids feel that. They feel your fucking anxiety. They know when something is up. I could try to hide all I want and be like, but like I'm just, and they're like, Daddy, like my oldest, she's empathic like me, and she's like, what's wrong, Dad? I was like, nothing, sweet. She's like, are you sure? You seem really off today. I'm like, no, I'm fine. I was like, I just want to go back to bed.
See, how many kids you got, Pat?
I've got 3. I've got a 22-year-old daughter, a 20-year-old son. That's one of my apprentices, and then I've got a 17-year-old son. And I mean, I've taken kids shit out on my kids, and I wish I never have. It just they ask me what's going on, and I just got shitty with them. I mean, I have not been a perfect father. I've screwed up a bunch, man, and I just hope that my kids realize that I tried everything I could. I mean,
there's no manual for this shit.
No, no.
I love my mom to death, but I had problems growing up, and it's like, and as a kid, like, it's hard enough to teach your kids normal shit, like don't put butter knives in electrical sockets, don't put your hand in the stove, like teaching them normal shit, let alone like this is also how you become a father later in life. Because I mean, my biological dad wasn't really in the picture, but so we're just like figuring this out as we go. We don't have tech support, we don't have a manual.
I mean, I've had some stuff happen to one of my kids recently that it was heartbreaking and made me rethink everything I've ever done in my life, every decision I've ever made. And it's like, is that my fault for not teaching him better coping skills? Or, because I'm bad at it. I just bottle that shit up and hope for the best, man. I'm not going to, I mean, that's how I was raised. So, and I was raised by a guy that was 20 years older than my mom. So, I mean,
wait, what?
I was raised by a guy that was he was the guy that raised me. I called my dad my mom. So when she was 40, he was 60. So when she was 50, he was 70. So he was a generation ahead of her, really. And so
tell me about the Great Depression, Paul.
So he never showed any emotion. He just like he lived his life like I do. He'd go to work, bury himself in work, and come home and bury himself and work at home. That was his deal. And then they just drink. And I pretty much cut out drinking. I will socially, but most of the time I don't drink. But like, he just didn't show emotion. He didn't cope. He just buried himself in work, and that's what I've done. And with what happened recently, it just like maybe I fucked up. I'm 40 years old, and maybe I fucked up.
Well, you usually try to find the things. Obviously, you try to be. That's the name of the game, is trying to be better than what your parents did, right? So, I mean, that's all you can shoot for. So you're like, well, my parents did this kind of fucked up shit, and I'm just not going to do that. You know what I mean? So you can, you're always better. I think every generation, for the most part, is typically better, or if they have drive, they're better than what their parents were before, right?
So I mean, no one ever came to my sporting events, so I made sure I went to my kids' sporting events. I made sure I supported them in that kind of stuff. So I did that kind of stuff, but like everything else, I was just like, no, I'm working. Hey, you want to come home and do this? No, I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
And then
or even like when you're already home, like I've done that before too. Like I'm already home and I'm like reading a psychometrics book or a reefer book or whatever, and like my kid will be like, "Hey, you want to do this?" And like, no, I don't. I got to do this. And like they don't understand. Like I don't really have to do it, but in my mind, I justify it by like saying, "Well, if I want to be the best technician at my company, or maintain this level of like being pretty good at my job, like I need to do this." So I justify it in my own head. But they don't.
There's a lot of things going around now. I've seen called like performance punishment. So when you become that person that takes care of everything, and you're that person that takes care of the trouble, you're that person that does this, like you get punished for it. By not really punished, but they like in your mind it's punishment, but you set yourself up to be in that position. They didn't do it, you did it, and now you feel that if you don't do that, you're letting them down.
Yeah, kind of like you're the top performer, and like they're like, well, so and so's got so many callbacks or whatever. Like that's the callback guy, and like send him out there, he'll take care of it. And then you're like, why am I always the guy to go out and like fix all these callbacks and
Dude,
shit? You know?
That's my life to a T. I'm like, I'm done following these guys around. If you don't want to train them to do better, I'm not doing this shit. And in reality, even if you did send the guys to training, they're still going to be lazy. They're still going to take shortcuts. They're still not going to take pride in their work. So they're still going to have the callbacks.
A while back, I was ready to leave my company, and I made a deal to stay. I was offered not a different position, but they're like, you don't have to interact with anybody you don't want to. You stay, you just do your thing, do this. I'm like, all right, I'll stay. And it's been better. But the thing is I know every company can't offer that. Like every company has to have a guy that's like the top tech, the lead tech, the regional lead, or whatever title they want to give them. Like every company has a guy that they're like, that's the guy that has to go out and like just fix stuff that people can't or they don't understand, you know? And for me, I take all that stress home. Like I can't leave it at work.
Why do you take it home though?
I don't know. I take it home and take it out of my family because I've heard before the reason, and I don't know if this is the reason I do it, but I've heard before that the reason a lot of people do this is because home is your safe space. It's where you feel secure, where you can be yourself, where you can like release these emotions. Like I don't do it at work. I'm not really a dick at work for the most part. But then I come home and I'm like a huge dick, and my wife's like, and she'll hear me on the phone like I'm being a dick to them, and like somebody from work will call. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? Oh, another callback? Sweet. I'll be there tomorrow. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I know he's a dipshit. Yeah, whatever. We'll be there tomorrow. And she's like, how are you nice to them? And I'm like, I don't know. It's work. I have to be nice to them. I get paid to be nice. I get paid to be part of the team. And here, this is my safe space. This is where I take all my shits, basically. And I take all my shits out on you guys. Not fair.
Yeah.
You know.
So I take pride in being that guy, but at the same time, it comes a point where it's like it's too much. I'm done being that guy. Like occasionally, like, can I just have an easy call for once? Like, why do I always? Nope. Once you accept the position as being the guy that cleans up shit, you're the guy cleaning up shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it pays well, but
wouldn't it be nice just to be the guy who goes out and like, I don't know how this works, and I don't give a fuck if I fix it right. Whatever.
You could be. What's stopping you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
pride, integrity.
Well. You could just say fuck it. You could just say screw it. And I mean,
well, starting Monday, I'm going to be that guy now because Brett told me I can't.
If I say screw it though, I'm going to beat myself up. I can't do it, dude. I've gone to jobs. I've gone to a job. It's a shitty part to change. It's 4:00 on a Friday, and I'm like, I know I have this part, but I just be like everyone else and be like a dick and just order it and like deal with it next week. It's like I can't do that. I know I have the part. This person needs this piece of equipment. I can go ahead and fix. Yeah, I'm gonna be here till 6 instead of rolling out of here at 4:15.
Even like shortcuts, like I'm taking apart. Like this happened the other day when I was replacing a high limit on a Henny Penny fryer, electric fryer. And I pulled the high limit out the back, and I looked at all the wiring. I'm like, all this wiring is fucking cracked and split. And I'm like, I could quote this, but I have high tech.
Oh,
all right. I changed it all. I replaced all the bad wiring in there, but there's a part of me like nobody else would do this. Like, it's like why can't I just be that guy?
Because we're not that guy. We're wired different.
That's what separates us. That's what separates the good techs from the bad techs, and I got to remind myself of that sometimes.
That's what I remind myself that I get to do the extra things I get to do. My company supports me doing the extra stuff I get to do, letting me backing me on some of the stuff I do because I do these things, and
probably
I just gotta
reflect in your pay too. Your promotions and whatnot,
and it makes you more competent tech too. I mean, there was one summer, Texas got stupid hot. It was like 115 in Dallas. The equipment is not made for that, so like everything needed a sprinkler, and any little problem that wasn't causing an issue as soon as that temperature break happened, whatever. I've never had a panic attack from people calling. But it was literally text messages and calling and hey, I want to talk to you for a second. I'm just like, I'm going to go sleep on the couch for about 20 minutes because I need to not talk to anybody. And it was one of those days. The team lead, like he told me, he's like, I fucking quit. He's like, he quit I think 8 times throughout the day because we'd knock out like 6 calls.
Yep.
And 12 more would just fucking roll in. Oh, we got 6 more stores that are totally down. He's like, fuck this, I'm out. I'm like, you know, and that, you know, I feel that's the only time I get overwhelmed is you know, when there's so much, but it could be just, for me, it could be just be talking with everyone, because I can deal with a total shit show and fix it and have no problem. But it's I think it's all the people dealing with, you know, once again, it's me with too much input and then I lose it.
So when people call you for tech support and you give them the direction to go or something they need to check, and like I had a guy call me, compressor was dead. He called me and he's like, oh, I don't have no power up here. I was like, do you have power to disconnect? No. I was like, well, shut the disconnect off. I said, before you climb down off the roof, I said, go ahead and check for shorts to ground. He gets down. Oh, the circuit breaker is tripped. And he didn't shut the disconnect off. And he just kept hitting that circuit breaker like 3 or 4 times. I was kind of bad. Circuit breaker keeps tripping. I'm like, did you shut the disconnect off? No. I said, did you look for a short? No. I'm like, I'm telling you what to do to find this. I was like, you probably would have saved yourself a ton of work and you could have got off the roof. I said, now you're going back up on the roof and you're looking for a short. And this unit has a leak in it. I said, hey, I haven't been able to come back and leak check it. I said, you're going to change the compressor, because he called me compressor short at the ground. I said, okay, yeah. I was like, go ahead and look for that leak. I'm not going to do that. I'm like, so you're going to order a compressor without finding out where that leak is? I was like, what if it's in a coil or something? Well, I'll deal with that tomorrow. I'm like, no. And sure enough, he didn't leak check it the next day. He found the leak, but I'm like, you're lucky it wasn't in a coil or something like that, or another part you'd have to go get. But yeah, he called me and just like, I told him what to do, and he argued with me. I was like, how do you guys handle that? Like, I just literally wanted to drive to that job site and jerk his ladder off the roof. I'm like, figure out your way down. The
guys that call me already have all the information. Mm-hmm. They already have the answer, but they don't know they have the answer. Yeah. So a guy calls me up. He's like, I'm working on this store. And he's like, the liquid injection is flooding back because, you know, he says, I have 86 degrees on my discharge temperature for 404. I'm like, well, then you have lots of liquid. So like, you're not flooding back from the suction. He's like, no, it's coming back through the liquid injection. And I was like, that doesn't have liquid injection. He's like, how do you know that? I said, what's the model number on the compressor? He's like, KV. He's like, shit, I'll call you back. And then I didn't hear from him. Mm-hmm. And then I call him back later. He's like, yeah, it was just so cool. Or, you know, because usually like I'll ask questions that'll make them think, because I don't like just, if you spoon feed information,
give them the answer.
You give them the answer, they're going to expect that every single fucking time.
Yeah, this way, call you every time.
Yep.
Exactly. So if you start questioning the stuff, like trying to get more information and making them think about the questions that I'm asking, like, why the hell? He's asking this for a reason. There's a reason why he's asking. And all of a sudden the light goes on. And I don't know how many times I've had guys tell, like, after I'll call him back, and they're like, yeah, we didn't want to call you back. He's like, we took a vote. We weren't going to call you. I was like, what do you mean took a vote? Was it Survivor? He's like, well, we didn't want you to have so big of a head that you couldn't fit through the fucking door. I was like, wow, dick. Okay, next time call me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. When people call me, I lead them the direction. I may know what it is, but I try to ask questions that leads them to that direction. And then you can always tell when to get it because they never call you back. Like, oh, yep, they figured it out.
Or they're lying to you. Yeah. They're lying to you. They're like, oh, I have 120 volts. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
You never have 120 volts.
Like, at least make it like 123 or 117 or something. 120 is a lie.
Yeah, I have 120.5 volts.
Yeah, I get the gas pressure. I get guys calling about. I'm like, "What's the gas pressure?" Oh, it's okay. I'm like, "No. Okay, it's not a reading. What's the gas pressure?"
Is that a measurement?
I'm like, no. If you know the gas pressure's fine, you know that it is, so you should tell me. And then
they'd be like, "Well, I think your manifold is set on retard."
Never go full retard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tech support thing, man. It there's days I don't want to do it. I mean, and there's some guys that try, and if they try, I get it. And then there's some guys that just want the easy answer, and that's what pisses me off. I'm never going to give you the easy answer. Much like you're a good friend of mine, and I know you've actually done the work. I trust you, and then like you're beating yourself up. I'm like, it's this, then I'll do it. But if you're just coming for me to feed you the answer every single time, I'm not going to do it.
I like the ones where I recently ran into this. We had a guy who we hired him on board knowing full well. He's like, I never touched hot side before. I'm like, that's fine, man. We'll figure it out. And Like he gets started in the company, and like a week later, he calls me on a microwave. I'm not a microwave genius, but there's one at Arby's. Like I'm pretty familiar with. I've called tech support enough to basically repeat what they have told me. And so I'm like telling him, like, check this, check that, and he's like, no, I don't think that's how it works. I'm like, what do you mean? I've worked on these for years now. Like, I'm not a genius again, but I know them more than you because a week ago you've never seen these before. He's like, I don't think so. I'm like, then I said something like, make sure you don't touch that transformer. Like, we want to make sure we're getting voltage to that transformer, but don't hook your meter to the other side because it'll blow your meter up. He's like, no, I don't think so. I was like, it's a step up transformer, dude. And
it's
like
10,000 volts.
I was just like floored. I'm like, I was almost speechless for a second. I'm like, wait, are you arguing with me? Like, again, not trying to sound like I know more than anybody else out there, but like on this specific subject right now in this moment, I know more than you on this. Like, and I wasn't being condescending about it. I'm just like, yeah, check this, don't do that, don't do this, like, But I was like, it's crazy.
Throw them to the wolves, straight to a microwave after a week. Oh boy, that's brutal, man.
Well, it's usually what, a Megatron,
or
that's a
capacitor,
the limits, the capacitor, or the door switch.
See, Megatron is the guy who fights Optimus Prime, but you're talking about a Magnetron.
Magnetron. Damn it.
Yeah.
That's why I don't wear a wedding ring. Is I got shocked on from a capacitor. Luckily, it hit my ring. My wedding ring's got a burn mark in it. I had my hand in there, and my wedding ring was grounded out, and it just went from the capacitor to my wedding ring and grounded out. So my wedding ring's got a little burn mark in it, and that's why I don't wear it.
For me, years and years and years ago, when I first got married, my wife made me so mad. I took my ring off, and I had it in my hand, and I squished it. I haven't worn it since.
Fucking Hulk. I
was so pissed, and it was a cheap ring too. It wasn't like tungsten or something. It was like like Walmart aluminum or something. But I just squished that thing. I'm like, yeah, can't wear that now. I never have. Worked out.
Mine lives on my keychain. Because I've seen too many videos or too many photos where like the skin is just pulled directly off, and it's just like a little skeletal muscle there, and I'm just like, nope, I'm good.
Dude, I watched an AC guy when I was wiring apartments when I first got out of high school. He was brazing in the line set, and then the big glob of the rod came off and hit his wedding ring, and his fucking finger. It was just that's the worst thing I see. It smelled terrible. He come in screaming, looking for water, and I was like, oh my god. They cut it off, and I was like, oh, what are you guys doing? Take him to the fucking hospital, dude.
We don't have that in our budget.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think it's about time to wrap it up.
Yes, sir.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. It's always great just to talk and get some stuff off your chest. I always feel better anyways.
I always look at this little adventure that me and Brett and sometimes Adam do as cheap therapy.
It does help, man. Like I said, sometimes when I just talk to a random person and just like it's weird. Like I feel better. Even
better when that person can relate specifically to what it is you're talking about. Like, yeah, I totally get it, man. Like, it makes it so much easier.
But women, suggestion: women don't like when you do that.
No.
What?
When you try to analyze their problems, like we're talking through problems logical and analytically, right? If you ever try to do that with a woman, they don't like that. They just want you to hear them bitch. They just want you to listen. They don't want any response from you. They just want you to know that they're pissed off at that point in time.
Sometimes I also get that way.
Yeah, really? I do too.
Or I just want to bitch. I just want to complain about shit.
Why?
I tell the guys at work, I said, if you want to complain about something at work, I give you one time. I said, the next time you want to complain about something, if you don't have a justification or reason to make it better, I don't want to hear it ever again.
No, just ask the guys on our super secret overtime messenger app. Like, ask them. Like, I do that somewhat frequently.
Yes. Why is there always someone that has to derail everything?
I talk to homeless people about my problems. That's a good point.
They're probably like, this guy's an asshole. We're homeless.
Coincidentally, I was literally thinking that while you were saying that. Sometimes I just talk to random people. I'm like, is he talking about homeless people?
Like, hey, Mr. Strange Man on the bus that I don't know. You want to hear me break it down? And then I tell him, and he's like, I don't even have any feet, bud. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. You got no feet. Like, well,
I just pooped in my bag.
Yeah. And here I am mad because I dropped a screw. But
well, I got a problem to prepare for, so I'm going to let you guys go.
All right.
Pat, thanks for coming on, man.
Anytime, man. You guys are great. I appreciate what you guys are doing for everybody out here. So
it's a good time. We'll have to have you back again once your problems reach the breaking point. Let me know, and we'll bring it back.
It never gets that bad. I figured it out before then, luckily.
Yeah.
Padded cell. All right, guys. See you guys later.
See you guys.